What's up, everybody? It's Demo with Demo Vapes. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. Welcome to the Build Stream 101 Beginner Series, or Coil Building 101 Beginner Series. Today we're going to be doing a round wire build. We're starting real simple. Oops. Amateur mistake here. Yep. So we are going to be starting out real simple. Next time will probably be Claptons and fused Claptons, and then we'll move forward from there into kind of more of the intermediate stuff and whatnot. So, welcome. Sorry, I just had to get a quick drink of water. I've been sort of going all day here, so whatnot. So, how you guys all doing today? Paul Ivers, what's up? And it's a Ferrari, not a Lambo, but it's great actually. It's fantastic. So yeah, so I figured, I should probably start from the beginning. I know a lot of people do round wire builds, and pretty much everyone who builds at least will do a round wire build, if not use pre-built coils or build the coils themselves. So I figured at the very least you guys might be able to get some tips from this and whatnot, and kind of maybe it might help you out. So let's do this thing. All right, let's see. Let's get in chat here real quick. Baby Miner, hey, I'm out riding, so I'll be in and out. Get it on. All right, sweet. Welcome, Vaping Miner. Jay Jerry, hello. What's up? Dead Judge. All right, hello. Ayo Vape, what's up? Ayo Vape. Paul Ivers, Mr. Cardmont, Kevin K, Billy the Kid, Brittany Brinker, what's up? Damn Vape 7078. Sweet, awesome. Well, welcome, guys. Oh. Must be running out of battery. Cool. All right. Well, today we're going to be doing this, and we're going to be using the Redemption, the silver-plated deck for this build. And I figured I would do something, kind of like with the center posts here, because I think this is kind of represents more of your average RDA, right? Most RDAs are built in this fashion, right? And you've got postless, and you've got RDAs that have the post on the outside and whatnot. So yeah, so we're gonna do this, and this is just gonna be kind of a representation of what most RDAs will be like. So give me one moment. Let me just clear off my desk here real quick, so that way I can scoot my keyboard back. Also, did end up finally getting the Rage. Homeboy OC sent this over, and I've got the Kali up top with the black barrel and the clear tip. Loving this combo. So my goal with this is to be in and out before the vape team starts their show in less than an hour, because I don't want to be conflicting with other people's time slots as best I can. We're kind of running out of time slots, so eventually, like apparently I was conflicting yesterday with the True Vapors show, and as far as that goes, I wasn't even aware of that show, so. I will do my best to make sure that I don't get these in times that other people are doing their shows, but can't be perfect. So, all right, let's bring this down real quick. Oh, come on. There we go. Okay. Cool. Let me bring up the exposure just a little bit, because I just need to, it's just not quite bright enough. There we go. How's that, guys? Does that look good? I'm definitely going to get this focus figured out here. All right, there we go. Looking good. All right. So before we start on this, we're actually going to have to build the coil. So let's set this to the side. And I'm going to grab some wire so I can find the right stuff. What do I want? I really would like 22 gauge if I can get it. Ouch. Let's square 20 gauge. This 22 gauge. This looks like 22 gauge. Yeah, this is definitely 22 gauge. All right. I've got some Anarchist 22 gauge right here. I don't normally buy Anarchist wire, but I had this stuff left over from when I used to buy Anarchist wire, and I don't really do round wire builds very much, so here we are. All right, so let's just go ahead and clip off a segment here. All right, so here we have a piece of 22 gauge. Let's make sure my shirt's not coming open here. Sorry, guys. We have a piece of 22 gauge, and this is probably way more than we're going to need. So we're going to cut this down into 2 pieces, and that way we'll have the amount that we will need. So I just try to eyeball it towards the center of this piece. All right, now we have two somewhat even pieces, I guess. They don't have to be perfect. So we're gonna go ahead and do this. Now I'm gonna build this coil with the little units in the Coil Master kit that allows you to easily turn round wire. For me, I think that it just makes the most sense. I have a tough time building round wire, to be honest with you, if I don't use this thing, because it's just so easy. So if you have a Coil Master kit, great. If you don't, you should probably get one, or at least get this unit, right? So we're going to take this piece right here, and this will be our piece that we wrap the wire around. All right, let me get my 3mm bit out. Today's build is going to be a 7 wrap on a 3mm bit. Now, let me see. In chat right now, do we have anybody? Is there anybody here watching that are fairly inexperienced builders and need some walkthrough on like why you would do more wraps than another and stuff like that? I'm curious because I want to make sure that I give enough information, but this doesn't run 8,000 years. All right. Here we go. Maded Judge. I don't know if I'm saying your name right, but it looks like Maded Judge. Hey Demo, why do you prefer one gauge over another? If number of wraps will change the resistance, why not go with what's easier to build? Variety of reasons. It kind of depends, right? So if I have an RDA that likes a wider coil, for example, I might change the gauge based on how many wraps I want for that resistance so that I don't have to get a super crazy number of wraps to get it widened out a little bit. Another reason is that, the higher the gauge wire you use, the more heat it generates and the more heat it retains. So for like big cloud chasing builds, you're going to want 22 gauge or 20 gauge or something pretty low like that, because it will create a low resistance. Typically when I build coils, I focus on a 5 or 6 wrap build, mostly just because of the fact that I used most of my stuff on mechs, right? So at the end of the day, with a mech, you don't want too much mass. So if I'm doing a 5 or 6 wrap build, then the gauge at that point kind of becomes what I change based on how I want my resistance. So it's a complicated question. That is something that takes a longer time to answer, I think, than I have right now. But that's the basic of why. Ultimately, it's your choice, right? Try it differently. Try some different stuff out. See what you like. So, well, let's get right into this. So, with this tool, you put the bit inside of this tool, and it comes out there, and you've got these little holes here, and these little holes, if I can get the light here. Yep, there we go. These little holes there are there for your wire to go into. So I can put my wire in like that. And now this will provide an anchor point for your wire. So from here on, I will bend this wire. So I'll just grab it with my thumb. Nice and easy. Oh man, I just got a notification that Vaping with Ken is live. Shoot. Okay. Anyway, so from here on, I will take this piece on the, yes, a screwdriver or a screw, if you want a spaced coil, will work as well for this. If you don't have this coil jig, in that case, you might have a little bit of trouble because it's somewhat difficult in those cases to anchor your wire. It's not a huge deal. This is just a little bit easier. So, not a big deal. I personally don't like wrapping on screwdrivers for round wire because I find it more difficult than this. I would definitely recommend. You can get these on their own without the Coil Master kit in its entirety. This would be the Coil Master coil jig, I suppose. So I'm going to do 7 wraps. So I just push this down, then I use this screw on here, and I just turn it, right? So now that's 1 wrap, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I am going to stop at the half, actually 6.5, because I want to make this for, both leads going in the same direction. So it'll be 7 wraps on one side and it'll look like 6 on the other. So a 7-6 wrap is what they used to call it. In fact, actually, I'm going to do 1 extra wrap, and I'll tell you why. 1 second. Let me just do 1 extra wrap. Now I just use my fingernails. I grab the coil and just pull, right? The reason I do an extra wrap is because this particular wrap right here is a little wonky from being in there, right? And this actually might not be so bad, being that I have to install this in a fairly wide RDA. But the reason I do this is so that I can take this coil and then take a wrap off. Let me just grab a pair of pliers here real quick. Wherever those went, of course, it's disorganized. Oh, interesting. I'm curious why I got the notification then. So what I'll do from here is I will just pull that last wrap off, and the coil will unwind itself, right? Now I have nice, even leads to a certain degree. I mean, this one is still a little bit crazy here, but it's a little bit of prettying. Ultimately, I'll probably clip it right about there or so. Just where my nail is. I'll clip it right about there, so that way it's nice and straight. So I'm going to go ahead and clip that there. I'm going to leave this second one longer, and I'll show you why I do that in a second. This is an old Rip Tripper's technique from back when he was actually really building coils. I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing with this other one here. Just go right through it. One, 2, 3. Oh, I just shot wire at myself. 4, 5, 6, 7.5 wraps. Pull that out. Then we're going to take this again, pull that last wrap off. Perfect. All right. This time I'm actually going to leave this like this, and I'll show you why in just a moment. Ow, that kind of stuck in my finger there for a second. All right. It's a bit shorter of a lead than I was hoping for. Now, I just need to back up and find this piece of 22 gauge real quick before it winds up in my foot. Because otherwise, I'm going to be in trouble. You know what? I'll do this later. I'm just going to be very careful from now until the end of the stream. All right. So, with round wire and with any coil, really, you're going to have, when you have the leads facing in the same direction, you're going to have a situation where you have one lead coming off the top, one lead coming off the bottom, right? So in order to remedy this, being that these posts are level, right? So it kind of is a pain in the ass to install this into a level post, right? Or a level post system. So, God, dropping everything. Excuse me, guys. It's been one of those days. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and I am going to just put a 90 in there. So now these leads are facing 90 degrees roughly or so in that direction, right? Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to take this wire down below here, and I'm just going to put a little 90-degree bend in it, right? And so now both of these leads, doesn't have to be perfect, but both of these leads are in much more even alignment, right? It'll make this much easier to install. I'm going to go ahead and do that with the other one. This one I didn't get very well, but whatever. Okay, so now we've got two coils, leads facing the same direction, leads on the same plane. So now that we've got that done, we're going to go ahead and start installing it. I'm going to grab my screwdriver and open up my clamps here. Just make sure that I get this so that they don't fall off, because once they fall out, it's really hard to get them back on. Okay. I'm sure I could go further than that. I could definitely go further than that. Shit. Couple more turns. All right, so now my clamps are open, ready to go. From here on out, I think it's pretty... well, I don't want to say it's pretty self-explanatory. Let's not say that. I don't even know why I was about to say that. It's not necessarily self-explanatory at all. All right. So here's how I do this, right? When I have an RDA like this, where you have a hole, a hole, a hole, and a hole, right? So it's either like this is, even though this is a clamp style RDA, this is like a 4-post or a 2-post with 4 holes, right? So essentially what you're going to end up with is that your leads will end up wanting to occupy the space that another coil, right? That another coil sits in. So instead of dealing with all this stuff where you like stick these in and bend them around and do all this crazy shit, I just literally stick them in, pre-clip them, pull the coil out, stick the other coil in, pre-clip it, pull the coil out, pop them in together, screw it down. It's really, really simple. So I prefer to do this over really anything else. So I am just kind of letting this coil fan out here. And I'm just going to stick this and have this go all the way in, right? So it looks kind of fanned out. We'll fix it later. Don't worry about it. So from here on out, I will just clip this here. Be very careful with these, you know, more beefy wires. They like to fire out of the post holes. All right, so we've got one coil pre-clipped. And I will turn the RDA around. Now, in a perfect world, your RDA will be symmetrical from either side, but most RDAs aren't perfect. So I turn it around, right? Just to make sure. All right. All right, so from here on out, I'm going to get my other 3mm jig, and I have 2 for this exact reason. It makes it a lot easier to install when you have 2 jigs of the same size. Being that I tend to use 3mm coils fairly often, I have 2 jigs in the same set, and I'm just going to pop these coils back in. Let's see here. Right? Now, one thing I should tell you guys right away. When you're doing this, you want your mod to be off or locked or whatever, right? If you're on a mechanical, remove your batteries, right? Because you do not want to hit the fire button and have this fire while you're holding it, because A, you're going to short it out, and B, ow, it hurts. I've done it before. So from here on out, we've got both of these coils kind of pressed up against the posts, right? And you'll see why I do that later. So I'm going to go ahead and start screwing these down. And I don't screw them down super tight right away because I'm just trying to get them locked in place. Right? So now you've got your 2 rods, 2 coils. Your screws are there. I'm going to go ahead and tighten this down all the way. And of course, my fucking center post spins again. Or that negative post. It's my one thing I don't like about this RDA is that middle post, that negative post spins a little bit. It's not quite locked down the way I want it to be. So now obviously, I keep using the words obviously and stuff like that. I'm sorry, guys. Now, in this situation, you don't want your coils to touch the posts, right? Touching the post will cause a short. So in this situation, you want to go ahead, pull your jig in there, and pull the coil down and away. Now, if I was smart, I would have left this a little longer than I actually did. But either way, what we have here, finally, at the end of this, is a coil that looks like that, right? You're going to do the same thing with the other side. Oh, shoot. I think I just pulled this partially out of the post. Damn. Totally. Okay. It's a little harder with round wire builds sometimes to keep them perfectly in the posts. Oh, no. Uh-oh. All right. These things happen. So now I've got one lead that has fallen out of the post. The other is still in there. I'm just going to kind of try to manipulate this back up in there. All right, perfect. That's back up in there. All righty. So essentially all I'm doing right now is I'm just kind of manipulating these coils, prettying them up a little bit. I just, trying to get them looking nice and tight against the bit. Oh, that one just doesn't want to hold. It keeps popping out. What the hell? This is not going as planned. Okay. All righty, and that's finally holding there. I don't know what the hell the deal was with that. All right. Well, Brittany, in answer to your question, sorry if I took me a second to get to your question, but the answer to your question is really, it depends on the resistance of that this comes out to, right? If this comes out to something that is 0.14 or below, I would probably choose an appropriate mech kind of mod or unregulated mod to vape this on. However, if this comes out a little bit higher, right, if this comes out to like 0.2 or so, yeah, I'd vape it on a regulated mod. The reason I build on this mod is because it is a very large mod. It's my 2 hands, right? And it's very stable. It has a DNA 250 chip inside of it, so it's very accurate, and so I use it as an ohm reader for that reason. Yeah, so that's essentially the basic reason why I use this particular mod to build on. I would recommend, if you buy a Coil Master kit, there will be an ohm reader in there. It is, they work okay, but more importantly, I like the ohm reader because it's a nice stable platform on which to build. If you have a big stable mod, no problem building on it. Just make sure it's off, right? So I'm going to go ahead and turn this on, and we'll do a resistance check. All right, this is reading in at 0.07 right now, which is a bit low. But as we fire this up, the shorts will come out, the hotspots will come out, and then that should rise up. I did a calculation on this before we started, so this should come up a little bit. But just to show you before we start, this is what we're looking at, right? Not like the prettiest build in the world, not the worst either. It's just a round wire build, 7 wraps, 3 millimeters, nichrome 80, 22 gauge. So I'm going to start this build. When I fire these builds up to get the hotspots out, I'm going to start at around 40 watts or so. And that'll vary depending on your coils, right? If you're going to start with this, if you're using a single coil, you might want to start lower, right? 15 watts, 20 watts or something like that, just to start out with. You don't want to throw a ton of power at this coil right away. So I'm going to go ahead and start pulsing a little bit. All right, we got the outside legs are starting to glow. And just do a little pinching and pulsing. All right, now no hot spots at 40 watts. Let's pop this up to like 60 watts. All right, we're looking good so far. That actually looks pretty nice. I don't see any hot spots in that at all. So I got lucky, right? That happens sometimes. Sometimes you'll install a set of coils and it'll just glow evenly with just a few adjustments, and that's great. It's easier with round wire. When you get into Claptons, all that wrap wire gets a little bit complicated and starts causing shorts. One thing you're going to want to do, very, very, very important, whenever you build anything, regardless of what kind of build it is, after you're done heating your coils up, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to take your screwdriver, until this cools cool for a second, and just give them another tighten. See, there was a little bit more in that screw. It's the same for this one, right? You want to give them just a little tighten. That metal gets soft when you start heating it up, and you just want to tighten it just to get those clamps to bite into the metal just a little bit more. It's going to make your build more secure, and it's also going to help you with hotspots and resistance and all that kind of good stuff. All right, one more. Let's jump this up. This is a point. This is coming in at 0.15. So let's jump this up to. Probably wouldn't vape this any hotter than 90 watts. So let's pop this at 90 watts. Looking good. I don't see any hot spots at all. What I like about the silver-plated deck is that it acts as like a mirror, and I can see in the bottom underneath my coils. You can see that. So it's like being able to see your bottom side, so you don't have to look underneath and whatnot. All right. That's essentially the build. I'm going to go ahead and wick it and show you guys how I wick this kind of stuff, and then we'll be getting out of here because I'm not trying to impede on the vape team's time slot. Take a vape real quick. What's up, Brad Levitt? What's up, Danny Castle? Yep, back to basics. That is the truth. Got to blow vape on it, right? That's the trick. Blow the vape on it, otherwise it won't be good. Just kidding. That's not a real thing. You can blow vape on it if you want. You don't have to. All right. Cotton. Kogan dough. That's what I use. You can use whatever you want, right? I prefer Kogan dough. It's cheap and it works just fine. It's great. I have no issues with it. I haven't noticed any quality improvement from the fancier cottons that I've used, except for maybe Dudewick. I think Dudewick is an exception, but it's really expensive compared to Kogan dough. So, yeah. Alrighty. And yes, Brittany, you are right. This is a great RDA to take pictures with. Sadly, I've already used this quite a bit, so it's got scratches and all that kind of stuff on it. So not in pristine mint condition anymore. So all these tools, except for these scissors, come in this kit, right? So you've got your ceramic tweezers for pinching. You've got your cotton tweezers. These are really nice for grabbing onto your cotton and manipulating it. And then these scissors I got off Amazon. They're just seamstress scissors of some sort. They work really well. They work better than my vape shears because they are, and I wouldn't say they're as sharp, but they're much stronger. So they don't wiggle around. So for 3mm coils, I'm going to cut a strip that looks the size that I would cut, but these pads vary in thickness, so you're just going to have to figure it out. When you're wicking something, you just got to figure it out. There's not much someone can teach you about wicking. I mean, I can teach you how to wick, but it's a thing you're just going to have to get out there and do. All right. So I like to wick pretty tight, so I've cut off a pretty large strip. Now, what I do is I pull these little pieces off the outside. I pull these little strips off the outside just because they're kind of a sandwiched layer, and I just want to be left with what's fluffy on the inside. All right. So from here on out, you've got what's just the fluffy cotton that's on the inside, right? I'm going to go ahead and roll this up a little bit. You don't want to roll it up too hard or tight or anything. I just want to kind of get it into a cylindrical shape. Now, from here on out, I will twist the ends, both of them. And this is how I waste as little cotton as possible. And this is one of the other things I really love about Kogendo, is that you can do this and you just waste so little cotton. With some of the other ones, you end up wasting a ton because you've got to like get it into the right size and all that kind of stuff. Here, I cut it right down the middle. All right. Now I'm assuming that my coils are cool. I'm not getting any heat. Yep, they're cool enough. When you're checking to see if your coils are cool, don't just touch them. I do that sometimes, and that's a stupid thing to do. You should, if you're going to check them, you should put your hand near a coil, right, where you can still see them, so you're not going to be like, oh, coils, ow, right? You just put it near the coil. If it radiates heat, it's still too hot, right? So let's see here. First last says, I wick too tight. I too wick tight. I don't know. Anyway, it's actually really hard to wick too tight. It's more difficult than you think. It's much easier to wick too loose. Brittany, a price of a pack of cotton like that is anywhere between $10 and $15, depending on where you buy it. So I just pop this through, right? Now you should hear a squeak. Right? Ah, yeah. Lovely. That. So that means you've got it right. Essentially, if it squeaks like that, you've got it right. Let's do another one. Just wanted to bring it close to my microphone so you can see. So, all right. So we've got this wicked basically, right? Now we're just going to trim the ends. And the goal here is you want this cotton to sit down and touch the deck, but you don't want it to be any longer than that. All right. A lot of people fluff their cotton. I have found that unless you're working an RTA or an RDTA, it's not necessary. I don't find any difference. In fact, sometimes I feel like when you fluff your cotton and comb it out and stuff like that, I feel like it actually wicks less efficiently. So what I do is I just kind of open up any ends that are crushed from twisting them. And I do that by just kind of getting my tweezers in there and just using them, just like pushing them out just a little bit, right? I'm just trying to get that crushed cotton out of there. Right? I'm going to do the same thing on this side. Just going to try to manipulate that cotton just to kind of pull it apart just a little bit. I don't want to like go crazy here, but yeah, this is the redemption TC reviews. Yes. So from here on out, I'm just going to take this and I'm going to just give a little tuck right underneath. Tuck, tuck, tuck. Do the same thing all around. All right, and that's essentially it, right? So one thing that's important, you see how I've left a little space underneath this coil? It used to be common knowledge, people used to stuff this space with cotton, thinking that if you put a bunch of cotton up against this coil, it would create more vapor. That's incorrect. The reason you don't want cotton against the coil and you want it to have air all around it is airflow comes in, right, grabs it, and vapor will exhaust from all surfaces of this coil. So you want everything to be open and get plenty of air, right? So we're going to go ahead and juice this up. Apple cream custard by the Legit line. Fantastic stuff. I have been obsessed with it since I got it. Brittany, I can fit frame staples in this, but I don't think I can fit anything like too big. Really, it's not an RDA like the Goon that's designed for like really huge, crazy coils. Now, one thing here when I juice my coils, I'll put juice on the coil itself, and then I'll just pulse, right? And I just want to warm that up. That draws the juice into the center of the cotton. This will keep you from having a cotton taste when you first start doing it. You just do that a few times until you start getting vapor like that. And then once it starts crackling like that, you're pretty much good to go. All right, now I can just juice the rest of my cotton up. And the cotton takes the juice so much better now that it's got juice already inside of it. It doesn't roll off. It also helps when you're juicing your cotton to kind of dab your dripper on the cotton. It helps kind of push it in. There we go. Final resistance, 0.15. This is 90 watts. I'm probably going to lower that down to like 75, 80 to start with. I'm going to juice my O-rings on the bottom because this is a kind of a pain in the ass. The silver deck, the titanium redemption, they fucked up the tolerances a little bit, and so it's a very tight tolerance on the deck. And not the O-rings, it's the metal. The metals themselves are kind of rub against each other, which is a real bummer. Okay. Yeah, see, I can't even push that on, and I'm completely lined up. So I have to kind of do a little wiggling and finagling here. And as I said, it's not the O-rings really, it's like the metal is touching. Like I can feel some grinding when it comes on, the cap goes on, and that's just a kind of a bummer, especially for something so expensive. All right. I'm going to juice up this AFC too. Boom, done, roasted, as Grim Green would say. All right. Gonna come back up top. Hi, that didn't take very long. All right, so let's have a vape on it, and I'm I'm curious. I don't vape round wire very often, so I'm curious to see how this is going to be. Hold on, let me. There we go. That's better. All right. Not bad. Needs a little less air. Let me tell you, this RDA is not designed for round wire builds, at least not builds that are this small. Okay, so more heat doesn't solve the problem. It's just the fact that it's round wire. I probably should have pulled these coils just a little bit higher. They're a little bit low, I think. But, you know, one thing that I wanted to say right away is that, I don't know if you're going to be able to see this, but hold on here. Come on, slider. Okay. You see how my coil is positioned there? You might not be able to see it until I do this. There we go. So the coil is positioned right at the airflow. I tend to like to position my coils a bit further up, like about half, maybe to the bottom half of the coil is showing. And that just helps because the airflow goes in and up as it's traveling towards the drip tip. So that's what I found anyway to be of the most use. Anyhow, cool. I'm really on a roll here for saying some stuff that doesn't make any sense. Find that the most use. Yeah, the air is not getting underneath it. So essentially, that's you know, this build is not perfect. I just threw it together. If I was going to be, you know, really vaping this, I would probably I'm gonna take this out as soon as we're done. But I'd probably just pull them up a little higher. It's not bad though. Plenty of vapor production. Flavor is muted. I would run this with frame staples. Yeah, the airflow is big, but what I like about this is that it adjusts, you know, down plenty. So you can adjust it down to that. I'm supposed to have autofocus on. Why is it not? Why you know focus? You get the idea. Yeah, I would do that ashtrays. It's, you know, you get the idea though. That's what I'm trying to go for. So do you guys have any questions? Any questions at all on building wicking, stuff like that? Because that's the basic idea. That's essentially how to do a round wire build simply, easily. It's something that I think a lot of people are really intimidated by. And I have a lot of friends who are like, I would love to use that stuff. You know, I try your stuff and it's so flavorful, but you know, it just looks so complicated. And I'm always just want to say, like, it's not that complicated. Like it really isn't. You know? I mean, it's complicated for some people, and I understand that other people will have dexterity issues with their hands. They can't build, but you know, that is what it is. Vaping Miner 199. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. A frequent donator we have here. That RDA is the Redemption by Apocalypse, not by Apocalypse. Redemption by Armageddon. It is the titanium Redemption with the silver plated deck. So that is that. But I'm still obsessed with this setup. For as good as that is. One of these times I'll probably have a build tutorial on postless decks in and of themselves. So that way you guys get an idea of how to build a postless deck. Does it just vape like the Apocalypse? I don't think so. It feels to me like quite a bit smoother than the Apocalypse, and I get way more flavor. The Redemption is a shorter RDA overall than the Apocalypse. I mean, I find it's a much shorter RDA, so I find that I get much better flavor from this. It's the same basic airflow concept, but I don't think they vape the same. No. I would say not, because I was skeptical too. When I first got it, I was like, this kind of just looks like the Apocalypse with the clamps that go down instead of up, right? They put the Rapture clamps on there from the Armageddon Rapture. And I thought, you know, like, I'm not so sure about this. But then I tried it and was like, well, you know, it's great. It's a great RDA. Definitely a little bit expensive, but it's a great RDA. Let me grab my trash can, sweep some of this wire in here. I can't forget that I had that piece of wire go flinging off, so I got to find that as soon as we're done here. Otherwise, with my luck, it wouldn't be me. It would be my fiance that got it in her foot, and would just be no. That would be no bueno. No bueno, folks. All right, guys. Well, TC reviews. I haven't ordered a Vital. I might get one. It kind of just looks like the Apocalypse, but Chinese made. I'm not really sure what the difference is, frankly. Anyway, guys, that's really about it. So unless you have any more questions, I'm going to get signed off here. You guys are going to have about 10 minutes. If you guys watch the Vape Team, you know, enjoy the Vape Team tonight. I will not be over there watching it because I have other things to do tonight. So, see, I would wave a magnet over the carpet, but I use Nichrome. So, yeah. The new dot mod RDA. Oh, like the new RDTA or the dot RDA? Either way, I probably won't. Dot mod and I'm not a huge fan of that company, so it is what it is. You know, there's more to it, but anyway, I am going to go ahead and sign off, guys. Try to keep this short as possible. I'll probably be on Discord after this over at the Vape Stew. If you're not familiar, we have a live show every Friday night, 9 p.m. Central, over on Tenacious TX Vapes channel, Vape Stew. Go check it out. We have a group, and attached to that group is a Discord chat server. So you can chat with all of us over there, and it's a lot of fun. Beyond that, go join my Facebook group, Demo's Vape Lounge. If you haven't, it's on Facebook, Demo_S Vape Lounge. So have a good night, guys, and I'll see you all later next time.